You're listening to KGUA 88.3 FM Gualala and KBVE 107.9 FM Boonville, California. And welcome back to Ocean Life Symposium 2025, hosted this year by Sherry Goforth and brought to you by the Mendonoma Whale and Seal Study, Miss Tree and Mr. Scott Mercer. And Sherry, tell us what's up for this afternoon.
Thanks, Sevi. We have Susan Berta with us, and she comes from Orca Network. Susan received her bachelor's arts degree from the Evergreen State College in 1982 with majors in music and psychology. After a decade of working in the field of social work, in 1989, Susan became program coordinator and co-founder of the Island County WSU Beach Watchers, an environmental education program for volunteers who give back to the community by volunteering and conducting community science projects, such as beach monitoring programs, which has now collected decades of data on Island County beaches. Susan's office was at the Admiralty Head Lighthouse, where she often watched orcas traveling past Whidbey Island each fall, and soon her love of the whales led her to Howard Garrett, who, with his brother Ken Balcom, had just founded the campaign to bring L-Pod orca Lolita, also known as Tokatai, came home from to get her home from her small tank in Miami Sea Aquarium. By 2000, Susan's observation of orcas off of Whidbey had blossomed into what is now the Whale Sighting Network. She left Beach Watchers and co-founded Orca Network with Howard in 2001. Um, in 2014, Orca Network opened the Langley Whale Center on South Whidbey Island to educate the public about marine mammals of the Salish Sea and to focus on North Puget Sound gray whales and southern resident orcas. The Whale Sighting Networks and Marine Mammal Stranding Network, um, the opportunities provided opportunities for the public to engage in community science. So with that, I'd like to introduce Susan Berta. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Sherry. Good to see you. And thank you all for having me. Hi,
Thanks.
Tree and Scott.
Exciting to have you.
Well, glad to be here. And there you can have my slideshow. So I'll that will make this easy. No, we have lots to say, and I just want to double check that what my stopping time is, so I don't go over, and I'll keep an eye on the clock.
Yeah, until 1:55.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate being invited, and hello to everybody out there. I will go ahead and share my screen here. For those of you who believe in astrology, Mercury retrograde is about to happen. So there is a high likelihood of technical difficulties. Let's see, make sure I'm no share. Screen, okay. Entire screen, share. Now I just have to get on the right tab. There we go. Slideshow from beginning. There we go.
Now we're seeing your PowerPoint.
Okay. Okay. Hide that little thing. All right. So this is Orca Network, connecting people with whales of the Pacific Northwest for 25 years. Our birthday is Sunday, November 9th. So this is very timely. It's hard to believe, except for the gray hairs that more and more appear every day, that it's been that long. These are just some pictures of people on the shore watching whales, and the growing number of both people watching whales and the whales we're watching. So this is basically what we do in all of our programs, is connecting people with the whales. And we just love that this is what has happened over 25 years. It's in some ways it's what we set out to do, but really had no idea what would happen. We always thought it would be kind of a mom and pop little organization, and never dreamed it would turn into what it has. But I'll kind of do a quick how it began, and how it kind of grew, and then talk mainly about our sighting network, because that is just something that's just boggles my mind and is kind of at the core of a lot of what we do. And education is a part of every program, including the sighting network. But it's all started with, kind of grew out of our efforts to free Lolita Tokitai, as you mentioned, and also the sighting network was an early part of Orca Network as well. And both of those started before we were really Orca Network, all because of this very special orca. And that started about 30 years ago, when I met the very special guy in that picture up in the corner. And when I was at Beach Watchers, we had done a presentation with Wally Funk, the man who had photographed the captures in Pan Cove on Whidbey Island, in which Lolita was taken. And I was just learning about that, and Howard learned we were doing that. So he and Ken and others had just started the campaign to bring Toki home. So he came to the meeting and said, well, there is one of those whales we can still bring back. And I was just like, okay, I'm in. So shortly after that, I immediately joined the effort, and shortly after that joined the board of the then Toki Te Foundation. And as they say, the rest is history. I've just got some pictures along the way of, we held annual ceremonies on Pan Cove to commemorate the captures of the orcas and the orcas that died during the captures, and also rallied for Toki to come home, and raised awareness, and just got more interest in bringing her home from the mid to late 90s up until the day she died. We brought in efforts from the Coast Salish tribes, the Samish elders, the Lummi tribe joined us in 2016. They brought a totem pole to the Seaquarium, did huge rallies there. We did free Lolita rallies, Dateline NBC. It looks like they're interviewing Toki there, but in reality, they were playing sounds of L-Pod to her, and that was her reaction. She jumped out of the pool, and it's very touching that she was hearing her family. And she used the calls of all 3 pods while she was at the Seaquarium. She definitely knew her family and missed them all the time she was there. And on the left is the Toki Te Ferry that we had named in her honor. That picture of her is a mural that we just had in June installed on that ferry. done by our staff, Karina Muskowski. In the middle is Chief Bill James from the Lummi tribe when they joined the effort. And we sadly, this aquarium finally gave permission. We had the money. We were working with her to bring her home. She had her favorite trainer, Marcia Hinton, back with her. She was happy. She was ready to come home when she passed. And that was the saddest day we've ever faced. But she is back with her family in her ancestors. And the most amazing thing is that her spirit was so strong. And we thought, well, that's the end of the Toki campaign, but she had other ideas. The tens of thousands of people who rallied for her over those 30 years were still with her, and their inspiration and motivation got even stronger when she passed. And I just get goosebumps because I feel her with us now. And she wants us to keep on fighting now for her family and her family, the Southern residents' survival, and to keep fighting to bring down the Snake River dams and do what we can to make sure there's salmon for them and do what we can for their habitat and keep fighting. So we started Toki's Legacy. Up on the right here is a new interactive exhibit at our whale center. Howie doing a talk at our unveiling, and Raynell Morris from the Lummi tribe. It was a really emotional opening. The exhibit on the Toki Tai Ferry is part of that, and we redid all the panels on the walls of the ferry with different Orca information about the Southern residents, actions people can take. And it's just really inspiring to see how many people Toki has touched, and in her spirit, we're carrying on and working to save her family. So Toki brought us together, and we always felt like there was just a reason for us to be together. And we met when I was working for Beach Watchers. This was my office on this side of the lighthouse. I have to say, the best office I ever had, looking out onto Admiralty Inlet. And so I realized the orcas were swimming by. And this was in the mid-90s. And I didn't have email yet. So I started a phone tree when I saw orcas going by, just to let our volunteers know, hey, there's orcas headed your way. Because I felt so amazing when I would see the whales swim by, and had other volunteers that really loved them. And it's just incredible to me that we had them in our own neighborhood. So the phone tree kept growing, and then we got email. Wow, technology. So I started an email list. And when I met Howie and Ken, Ken was like, oh, let me know, because then, we want to go out and do our survey. And then he gave me contact with researchers in Seattle, and then NOAA Fisheries wanted to know, and I started adding researchers to my email list. And we also have the gray whales, the sounders that come in to North Puget Sound, our own little special group of gray whales. And so we started working with Cascadia Research on the gray whales. And so that sighting list just kept growing. And let's see. So that's where we started Orca Network, kind of with the Toki campaign and the sighting network, and thought, well, we'll just have this little program. And with Toki, especially in Miami, we realized we had to do a lot of education for people to understand why she shouldn't just be in that tank doing circus tricks. Because they just didn't understand orcas in the wild, or the culture or community behind Southern residents. So we always did a lot of education around Southern residents. And also, while I was at the Beach Watchers, we helped with a county stranding network, and put together a gray whale skeleton that's hanging in the Coopville Wharf, and several other skeletons. And that kind of bled over into Orca Network and somehow ended up in our lap and under our umbrella. So we have continued on with that. And those specimens, we continue with the stranding network, and put together several specimens that are in our Langley Whale Center now, including our most recent is a great big gray whale peck fin. That's pretty cool. Lets people know how big they are. And our Langley Whale Center was opened in 2014. This year, we're coming up on 36,000 visitors through our doors. Our crew there has done a great job. We have a gift shop there that enables us to keep it free of charge, so anyone can come through, and large families don't have to pay to come in, and we really like being able to do that. I've already talked about Toki's legacy and the education we do. We have a Share the Water Boaters Ed program. One of our well, we do annual events like a Ways of Whales workshop that's coming up January 24th, I believe. We have a Welcome the Whales each spring for our gray whales arrival. And in June, whoops, that's coming later, sorry. We have a Orca Month program that I'll talk about a little later. But this is our vintage got whales, our first magnet and little card we would hand out to people when we were recruiting people to join our sightings network. And then this is, of course, everybody loves little seal pup. Excuse me. This is a little Lanugo premature pup. Of course, we don't know how long, if Noah will be there after the government shutdown, but we're hoping so. My cat's in the background making a seal pup sound for us. I don't know if you can hear. And there's our little unassuming whale center, but inside it is amazing. And we really love having an actual physical space for people to go to, and to get people off the street that might look in the window and think, oh, that might be a cool gift shop, and then go in and talk to our volunteer docents or our staff and come out a total whale nerd. So we really love that ability to do that. And here's my plug for anyone from California. We started Orca Month in 2007. So next year will be our 20th Orca Month, to raise awareness about Southern residents. And since 2016, we now have Oregon and British Columbia also doing proclamations and celebrating Orca Month with us. So there's somebody on the West Coast that's missing that we've been trying to get involved. So all you need to do is get your governor, and I know the California governor has been very busy doing some good things lately, but you can, I know in Washington, you can go to the website and there's usually a section for proclamations. So you can ask for a proclamation in June for Orca Month. And we'd be happy to help you with that. So anyone who's interested in having a California Orca Month in June, just contact me or anyone at Orca Network, Susan at orcanetwork.org, or info@orcanetwork.org, and we can help you have Orca Month in California as well. We would love that. That would make our 20th Orca Month so special to have California join us, because the Southern residents do use some habitat down there in California, and we would love to have you join us and make Orca Month complete for us. So I just had to add that little promotional advertisement there. Sorry about that, but maybe someone out there wants to help us with that. Okay, so enough of the advertising. Now on to our sighting network, which is community science, which is, we really started it just so people could see the whales, because I feel like when I see them, it's just almost it is a spiritual experience. And sometimes I see them go by and it's just so amazing. I feel like I could just die now and I would be complete. I just feel so incredible. And there's something about, whether it's orcas or gray whales or any kind of whale, everyone has had that experience. Well, not everybody. I feel like we're very blessed, but people who have had that experience know what I'm talking about. And we want to make sure as many people as possible can have that experience, because once they do, they will care, and they'll want to help preserve our whales and our oceans and the prey that the whales depend on. So what are we? We are Orca Network, literally in name and as a noun and as a verb. And that is the best way I can say it. And that really describes everything. So I could stop right here, but of course I won't. I will keep going until you tell me to shut up. And I will check on my time here. So moments like this do change people. That's a gray whale feeding right off the shore of downtown Langley, Washington, just about a block from our whale center at sunset. So our goals were first to just get sighting. First, our goal, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So to gather sightings from the public, boaters, maritime industries, ferries gave us still give us a lot of sightings. And then to share the sightings with researchers, NOAA, the public, naturalists, organizations, other organizations. We've been working with Quiet Sound and the maritime industry. They do a slowdown this time of year when Southern residents are here. And to, our main overreaching goal is to raise awareness of the presence of the whales, which over 25 years, I can safely say we have done that. And now we are really working on turning that awareness into action and advocacy. So that's really what we're focusing on as well. So the critical issues and motivating that public involvement and increasing collaboration and cooperation among agencies and organizations, and giving individuals something to do. That's always something that people ask us, what can I do? But our first reason for starting this, and still something that we're always wanting to do, is helping people see whales from shore. So why are we so popular? I mean, that's something we're always asking, and people are asking us. We had a surprise call from ProPublica wanting to meet with us to ask us, how did you do that? Why are you so popular? And how did you get so many people on your network? Because they wanted to learn from us. And that was really shocking. So part of it is that people get something back. They turn in their reports, and then they show up in our, we have a weekly newsletter. So they love to see their reports in the newsletter and their photos, and their photo might end up as the photo of the day, or photo of the week in the newsletter. and they can post in our community group, and they see each other out on the water, because people will drive miles and take 3 ferries in a day to see the orcas, and they all get to know each other. And we've created this community, and they all meet each other on our webinars, and they see the whales, and they get to love them, and they want to learn about them, and then they want to help, and they feel supported by us and by the community of people that they meet. And the community isn't like just on Whidbey Island or just in the Seattle area. We have people from all over the world that attend our webinars or get our emails or join our Facebook page. It's really amazing how many people are dedicated and committed to the Southern residents, especially after Blackfish. That really made, interestingly enough, made a lot of people aware of the wild whales, not just the captivity issue, but of the Southern residents. And I thought that was very interesting. So here's some of the nuts and bolts of the sighting network and how, there's a lot of words there. I'm not going to read them all, so you can read some of them, but we collect sightings via a lot of methods: email, phone, website, social media. We have a hydrophone network from Beam Reach and Orca Sound hydrophones. We have our own at Bush Point that's part of that network, or trying to get another one. We tried for a while using Circle because people were leaving Facebook, but lately our Facebook page and private group page, because people have to register so you don't get all the trolls and the crap, and people have to register. So that group has really skyrocketed because people can just use that and not be exposed to the other crap. But it still has remained the best platform for that. We're still looking for others. But we also have a subscriber-based text alert or robocall to send out real-time alerts. Then we have our email I talked about. Our website has a sightings page with monthly archives going back to 2001. And then at the Whale Center, we have a wall map with magnetic orcas of the different species and the most recent sightings, so people can go there to see where the whales were. Whoops. And then on our website, we have interactive viewpoints maps, so people know where all the public viewpoints are, and you can click on each star. It tells you whether it's accessible or not, if you can drive right up to it, if it's a little hike, etc. So when you're out looking for whales and following them around, you'll know the best place to park and try to find them. And then we also, and I know the whale alert is available down in California and many places, so we use whale report as well. And I know up here you can choose Orca Network to input orca data or any kind of species. So if you see, especially Southern residents, if you put it under Orca Network, we would be sure to get it, and that would be great, because we're really trying to add more to our coastal sightings. We used to have Ken Balcom would take a trip down the coast every year and put his signs up with our number on them, so we would get more coastal sightings. And of course, he's not done that now for a number of years, obviously, sadly. And we would like to see that increase those sightings again. So anyone who sees orcas down the coast anywhere, we do still want coastal sightings. And then the Orca Sound hydrophone project I just talked about. And then on our Facebook posts, we always post the regulations. So our team has different little graphics for each kind of whale. This is when southern residents, and I love this one because they were heard on the hydrophones. And then this is the graphic, and it also shows, this is our main page, and they talk about the hearing them, and then they mentioned the community group. And we can tell by their calls which pods it was. It was J&K pods. And J-Pod came in this morning, how we got to see them. And so here's another one for baleen whales. And what's great about these, it also educates people about what they're seeing out there and the different species we have, even the occasional fin whale. And then this, if there's a whale that we've had a report, but they didn't know what it was, we'll just share this graphic that helps people so they can maybe identify what they saw, but also share boating practices and the best practice, if, you know, to follow the most strict laws in case it was a southern resident, and what to do until we know what species it was. So we really are working to protect the whales, as well as help people see them. And our main, our main purpose is to get people watching from shore, but there's a lot of anti-boater hysteria recently, and we live in an urban waterway, especially in South Puget Sound. So, we walk a thin line. A lot of people don't like us sending sightings out at all, but we also, with especially baleen whales, we feel in many ways it's better for boaters to know they're there, because some people don't even know we have those whales around. And it's better for them to know if they're out there somewhere, so they can go slow if they're, and many whale or boaters are just transiting anyway. And we really feel educated boaters who care about the whales are better than boaters who are just out there, just high speeding around. So we do our best to educate. And so here is kind of the result of our 25 years so far. Just inspired and motivated community, increased data, and I will show you some slides from our team. We'll end with that. And what I really didn't realize was how much data we would collect and the trends we would see. For instance, the change in when we first started, we rarely saw bigs or transient orcas, and when we did, there would be maybe 1 to 3 of them at most. And we saw southern residents very regularly, in the summer off San Juan Islands, and then in the fall down here. And that has changed so dramatically. Now we have what we call resident transients all the time down here, except for when the southern residents show up in the fall and winter, the transients tend to take off a little bit. But they have, really are much more scarce off the San Juans. And humpbacks we never had before, and now they're a regular. We had to change our brochures and our marine mammals of the Salish sea signs, and it just things have really changed a lot. Our gray whales, our sounders, have increased, unfortunately, because of the unusual mortality events or climate change, basically, because they're starving. So more and more come in, and the lucky ones find the feeding grounds up in North Puget Sound and discover that it's a smart thing to come in here and stop and feed for a month or so, and then continue their migration north. And they become regulars and become a part of our Sounders gray whale population. So that population has grown. So it's been great over time with our sightings to see those trends. So those are some of the things that we've discovered along the way, and just the increase in awareness, and the people who have become very strong advocates, boaters who are much more aware, just the crowds of people going around watching whales, and our educational projects and volunteer trainings, the Birth of the Whale Center, and our Share the Water education program, and all the change in our staffing levels. It started with Howie and I in 2014, when we opened the Whale Center. We hired my sister part-time to manage it. It was very small, and we've moved twice into a bigger building, migrating closer to the water each time. And then 2015, we hired our first full-time staff, and we just hired a new co-director this week, and are meeting another part-time co-director that we are going to be hiring this afternoon. And we're up to 17 staff now, and that is just unbelievable, that all of that has happened in 25 years. But back to the unexpected side effects of the sighting network itself. We also end up helping the stranding networks regionally with tracking entangled or ill whales, lone calves, Springer. We got a call in the middle of the night from a tug that was off of a tanker saying there's a little orca calf and it won't leave our tug alone. And I'm like, okay, it's 2 a.m. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I believe you. So that was an interesting story. But species out of habitat, we had a beluga, ribbon seals, and as I mentioned earlier, changes in species habitat, data used by industry. We have 2 whale bells on the island, one in Langley and one in Coopville, that the community can ring when there's whales off the waterfront. We've been working with the state DNR to monitor ghost shrimp prey and get them to stop harvesting when the gray whales are there. We're still working on that. We would like them to do more work on that. We've improved the tourism by letting people, especially in Langley, know that we have whales there. And then partnering on Whale Alert and other apps, and working on some digital mapping of sightings and hearings. And then just creating this amazing community of whale lovers who are also advocates who can give the whales a voice. So here's, we've got to have charts, right? Even if it's not a scientific conference. But these are pretty easy and say a lot. So the blue on this is from Serena, our one of our sighting network program coordinators. The blue is the bigs or transient orcas, and this is from 2019 up to 2025 to date. And this just shows just over that time frame the change So the bigs are doing very well, and just their presence in, and this is, our main sightings area is the Saley Sea, so Puget Sound, Admiralty Inlet, the Straits, and San Juan. So mainly, most of our sighters are in the Admiralty Inlet and Puget Sound, and some San Juan. So that's pretty incredible. The orange is southern residents. A lot of that is from their fall and winter travels into Puget Sound. Then the pink, you'll notice, is humpbacks. So look at 2019 and then 2025 to date. It's just crazy. That has changed so much. And that's a concern for us, because what they love to be down in like Tacoma, Seattle, Tacoma, and they're very high ship strike risk down there. So that's a worry. So this is our pod, who we share the sightings with, but also education and advocacy and action alerts with, and who we also gather together with for emotional support and inspiration for the future. I'll just let you kind of look at those numbers. And it's pretty phenomenal. When we started, I just thought it was going to be a small Whidbey Island based mom and pop thing, and it somehow this happened. And I don't know, we just were in the right place at the right time, or just had a different way of doing things. And I don't know, it was all grassroots, but our family just grew. That's all I can say. And we've collaborate with Cascadia Research, with our gray whales. Of course, there's a gray whale spy hopping off Langley. We've worked with them on this guide to the sounders. We have a gray whale adoption kit with our sounders that we did with John. And he comes and does presentations at our Waves of Whales workshop. And he helped us do our gray whale exhibits at the Whale Center. It's been a great partnership. And of course, these two shady characters, without them, I wouldn't be here giving this presentation, and Orca Network wouldn't exist. The Center for Whale Research has been our partner from the beginning. And, all our Orca data and research, without Ken, I don't know, the Southern residents probably wouldn't be here at all, because he's done the advocacy and always been the one to be outspoken about everything from the beginning. And here he and Howie are standing by the Elwha on the Balcomb's Big Salmon Ranch, which was his last great and wonderful effort to save the orcas by saving the salmon. And there are some really exciting projects happening there, to make more salmon, provide more habitat for the salmon, for the orcas. And this is one of my favorite pictures. Two of my favorite guys in the whole universe. And the collaboration, and I feel like Ken is still there helping us, helping the whales. He and Toki are up there having a beer and nudging us, I think, every once in a while. So let's see, and get my time here. Okay, so I've got some time. So here is our 2024 Orca sighting summary. We send this to NOAA Fisheries every year. And this is by Serena also. This is just orca sightings. This doesn't include any of our gray whales or humpbacks or other species, minkies or anything. So keep that in mind. So this was last year. It'll probably be more this year. So this is how many orca reports.
Sorry, Susan, read those numbers for our radio listeners.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I didn't realize there are also radio listeners. Duh, it's a radio station. I should know that. So 13,876 reports out of 355 days, 2,811 people sending in reports. And my dog making her comments there. Sorry about that. We'll take care of her. And so out of that, our well sighting network team, which is 4 staff, confirmed likely ecotype for 13,805 reports, which is 99% of the total sightings. So for those of you who aren't familiar with orcas, they, to determine the ecotype, you pretty much have to determine the ID, the individual ID, or be pretty sure of either the fin shape, the eye patch, or the saddle patch to know if it's a transient or a transient Biggs or a resident. So that's a really high confirmation of ecotype. And then the team also determined likely pod IDs for 13,361 reports, which is 96% of the total sightings. So that's also a really high, and especially for a lot of these reports are from you'll see, but they're from a community science-based program. It's not like we have scientists out there sending us reports. We get them from all different kinds of sources. So that's, and thankfully with digital-based cameras, like we have these days, which was not at all like how we started, that really helps. But our team really works to really confirm IDs, and with the number of photographs we get and because we get so many different reports, they can cross-reference, but it takes a lot of time and effort. And to get this high of a analysis and confirmation with ID and ecotype, it's pretty amazing. They really work hard. These figures show the reports from 2014 to 2024. Starting in 2014, the number of orca sighting reports was 2101, so 2,000, a little over 2,100 reports. By 2024, of course, it was 13,876. So that's quite a, so for you in the radio land, it was in the 2000s until 2017. It bumped up to 3,406. 2019, it was 4,300. 2020, it jumped up to 6,296. The next year, it was 7,700. 2023, it went up to 10,920. 24, it went up to 13,876. So, and, we also have to look, and it will be in other slides. This is part of the reason is, so this breaks it down into reports per ecotype. This is just 2024. Biggs orcas, 10,467. Southern residents were 3,331. That was just this year. But so a lot of it is the bigs. They are just getting bigger and bigger. More and more of them. Their population is really growing, and they're living down here year round. So this is for 2024 and shows the presence of bigs and southern residents. And you can tell the months, the orange is southern residents, the blue is bigs. You can see October, November, December, when the southern residents are down here. The bigs are, they decide they'll just kind of skedaddle for a while. The months, February is about half and half. The months the southern residents aren't here, the bigs are here. And they're just here like crazy. And then this is just showing some by day, the orca sighting reports per day. And they're showing two of the big number days where there's like huge numbers of reports. There's one with southern residents and a couple huge days with bigs. Those are the days that, oh man, our team earns their money. So here's a day with 169 reports, all bigs from 79 different reporting parties. And those aren't, those people are reporting the bigs. There's all these different, I don't know how they keep track of bigs orcas because they're all in these different pods, and that would drive me nuts. I couldn't do it. So there were, tea party of approximately 40 orcas met up with more orcas exiting Hood Canal and split up into 4 groups. And each of those groups had like 1, 2, 3. This one had the 4 groups of T's. Another group had 1, 2, 3 groups. No, 4 or 5 groups of T's. Another group had 2. Another one had 2 groups of T's. So each of those groups had several groups of T's. And then in the San Juans, there were like another 3 or 4 groups of T's. So 7 distinct groups of T's in the inland waters, and each of those groups had multiple groups within them. And they identified all the individuals and the individual groups of T's within all those. And I don't know how and then all of those end up in a whale report with photos, and as well as on Facebook, and get out to all the reporting parties in apps and on the website. So this is the same for the southern residents on JKNL on a super pod on November 1st. And interestingly enough, they did it again this November, almost the same time. So I see I am out of time.
We're out of time. It's fast.
Okay. So I will, and that's pretty much it anyway. So
thank you so much for being with us. And
okay.
We all want to.
All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you having me on.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.